You are listening to episode 200 of the Confident Coaches podcast, the one where, well, you want to know what? We're elevating, my friends. Let's go. Welcome to the Confident Coaches podcast, a place for creating the self-confidence you need to do your best work as a life coach. If you want to bring more boldness, more resilience, and more joy to your work, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Amy Latta. Let's dive in. Did you hear that opening? 200. What is even happening right now? How does that even happen? I've been trying to figure out why this 200, way more than 100 or 150, has landed on me in such a reflective way. I get reflective every birthday, but I suspect that my 50th birthday next April, I'm going to be that makes sense, though, that I'm going to be a little bit more reflected there. Why 200 as opposed to any other milestone ones? And I realized a couple things. First of all, I started this podcast in November 2019, and it's September, so not quite, but we're only 2 months shy of 4 years. 4 years. Holy cow. Do you remember what you were doing 4 years ago? Do you remember what was important to you 4 years ago? Do you remember? Guys, 4 years ago was months before the pandemic. 4 months before the pandemic hit. 4 or 5 months before the pandemic hit. It's before, so that right there, right? It was pre-pandemic. So we are talking might as well have been ancient times, right? Sounds like decades ago. For sure, it was before I started seeing cracks in the facade of my business or my mentors. I got to tell you, 2019, when I really look back, that was the high. That was the high. That is when, I'll be honest with you, I was pure obliviousness back in 2019. It's before I felt any of that incongruence between who I really am and the work I was doing. I was still bright-eyed and starry-eyed and bushy-tailed and really thinking everything was amazing and fabulous. It's before so many things, and yet it's the same show. It's the same conversation that we're having, the Confident Coaches podcast. And here's something that has been, this part of the conversation has to come before I start talking to you about what the hell I even mean about elevating your business and your income. At first I thought this was two separate conversations, but it's not. So it's going to sound like a detour from what I came out of the gate with the title of this episode is, but I promise you it's not. So in any way, shape, or form, it is so important to this conversation because when I think about 4 years ago and me starting the Confident Coaches podcast, guys, it's before I realized I had confidence all wrong. Yes, I still believe that confidence is about, your belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. I just no longer believe that we're not all already confident. I have told you for 199 episodes so far, I didn't used to be confident. That's why I'm one of the, this is why you should hire me for learning confidence, because I was never confident my whole life and I had to learn these things. And I had, again, see all previous episodes. In this story, this idea that, I lack confidence, but I figured out how to nurture it in myself, plant the seeds, grow it, where am I confident? All of those tips and tricks and tools and coaching tools that I've shared with you. Here's the funny thing. It's not that the tools were incorrect. It was the belief behind all of the things that we're doing here, because I didn't become more confident. I truly can see, and I truly believe that we are actually all born into this world as brilliant beings, confident even. And yes, we all have different personality traits. I know a lot of people confuse confidence with a gregariousness or an avertness or introverted versus extroverted versus people who are willing to have hard conversations or not have hard conversations. I'm not talking about personality traits, right? Like I can look at two kids and see that one of them is more shy, one of them will go up to strangers, one of them, is a little bit more trepidatious about trying new things, but that's not what we're talking about here. When we're talking about confidence, we're talking about like believing that we can do something we've never done before, right? The confidence to do it anyway. The confidence to believe we can handle whatever comes our way. I think we're born with that. And I think actually it's not us, my friends. It's not us. Now, this conversation, if y'all been paying attention, I didn't have the words for it, but I've been talking about this. This shift started 18 months ago. We aren't the broken ones. It's out there that is broken. It's the socialization. Maybe it was direct in your house. Maybe it was indirect just in society. But our socialization as human beings, it's not us as human beings that creates this lack of confidence. It's the socialization as human beings that you aren't good enough. You aren't allowed to do that. That's not for you. You aren't good enough in your body, in your gender, in your ideas. Maybe it's in how you function. The lack of confidence is not inherent from the inside out. It's coming from the outside in. It's the piling on of shit, right? That becoming more confident isn't inside out work. I mean, it is, but it's because we're shedding layers of shit, not building up confidence. We're actually letting it out that's already in there. And I've been working through so much these past 18 months. And one of them is coming to realize how I have reinforced this belief that the problem is us, right? And it started 18 months ago, starting to learn about patriarchal ideas and conversations around women throughout history, women in money, women in family, all of those conversations, sure. But this idea that, you can overcome self-sabotage by changing your thoughts. The only thing standing in your way is you. Why do you think you are doing that, right? What do you need to do to build more trust in yourself? The only problem is your thinking. This is all saying that it's us that's broken and it's not them. And it's not that way. What if self-sabotage and imposter syndrome and learning to trust yourself, what if it's just like all bullshit? That is the focus is on the wrong thing when we talk about that. As opposed to, no, we are actually already confident, amazing beings, and it's the out there that we actually need coaching on how to handle, not as much as the in here. No, I want to be really clear. I'm not saying that we're not paying attention to thoughts and all of that. We're just not having to fix every damn thing. This has been, brain, like on a cellular level, brain breaking. Right? It's so interesting of like, it's the out there that sucks. It's not the in here that sucks. And yes, I can look at my two kids and I can see that one of them inherently carries a bit more fear than another one. So yeah, you still have that primitive cave woman or caveman brain who is afraid of new and different things. There's that kind of, that primitive element is still there. But that's not for you. isn't coming from you. And that's what we've been talking about for 200 episodes, right? That this is for you. Quit telling yourself it's not for you. This is for you. You can do this. You are capable. You wouldn't have the dream to go do this thing in the first place if you weren't also given the capability for it. Now that statement that I've said before is like, obviously, because that's not for you isn't coming from inside the house. Your Helga brain is actually, your Helga brain, that's the other part, the name that I gave, that cave woman part of your brain, that one that, that's spouting bullshit to you all day long. It's just reinforcing the bullshit that's been piled on top of us. And to think that the only problem is our thinking, that really denies the systems that devalue our thinking, no matter how much we change it, right? You can change thoughts all day long. It doesn't change the fact that there are systems in place that are like, no, that's still not for you. And so then what do we do about that? Here's what I want to offer on that specific thing. We aren't going to change entire systems like just me, Amy Latta, in a world of 8 billion people. I'm just one gal. I'm just one feisty, audacious, 49-year-old woman having hot flashes, cussing a lot, getting diagnosed with ADHD. But you and me, and then the communities that we touched, and then the millions, and then the billions of others, one at a time. And I think you're already seeing this, right? We can feel this. It's palpable in all of our communities. The systems are starting to shift, right? It feels like it's going a hell of a lot slower than I really think that it should. And also, like, we've already felt so much disruption. And it's not just inside the life coaching industry, even though we have talked about that here. But like, if we pull way out, we're seeing this in politics, economic systems, in business, and yes, in the coaching industry, sure. And it's uncomfortable as hell. And also, I want to offer to you that we are in a state of evolving and elevating. See, I told you to get back around to that part of the conversation. We're witnessing it. It's happening. It's literally happening right now. It's uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like it. We're seeing it in multiple areas of our life. That as we change how we view ourselves and stop viewing ourselves as the problem and the only obstacles that are in our way, and truly believe that that is already in us, and absolutely, like, this isn't that we don't have thoughts to change, but the thoughts that we have to change aren't bullshit thoughts coming from, and I've even said, the call's coming from inside the house, right? Yeah, the call's coming from inside the house, but I want to offer to you that they've like tapped into the line from out there. You're still hearing on the other line the bullshit that is coming from outside of you that's been piled on top of you. And we are experiencing right now across so many fronts throughout the entire world, a shifting and evolving. It is uncomfortable as hell. It does feel like this is a bit much sometimes, for sure. I mean, guys, now we got aliens. Do you realize that we discovered aliens exist and we didn't fucking have time for it? We didn't have time for the evidence of intelligent beings that don't live on our planet, because we're like, we're gonna need you to hold. We're experiencing some shit on this side of the table. That's how I know. I actually think that's how I know we're evolving. I think the aliens are letting us know that they see us and like, we see you humans, we see you trying to evolve. We see you trying to elevate. It's as uncomfortable as shit, but we've been waiting. The aliens have been waiting for us to get to this place where we shed the shit that doesn't serve us anymore. We stop believing that the problem is us. Imposter syndrome. I think that right there probably deserves its entire own episode just right there. Like, we just Like, we need to look at imposter syndrome and self-sabotage and lack of trust in ourselves and just call bullshit to all of that. What if none of that is real? It's just the shit that we use, that we hear to make us think that we are the problem. But we're not. And actually what we are experiencing is an elevation and an evolution. Right now we are in it. When I think back on 200 episodes, 4 years of content, I know, like, on one hand, I know that there is work and concepts and topics in this podcast that part of me wants to go pull it. If only I knew where to go exactly. You know, I know that I've talked about this and this and this, and I believe the exact opposite now, but there's also a part of me that's like, no, I want this documentation of my learning, my shifting, and what matters most, I want this documentation of my own evolution and elevation. Because this is an opportunity. Where you are right now and what I'm offering to you from episode 200 on is an opportunity to look at ourselves, connect with us and our knowing, understanding what our values are and not someone else's. And that sounds really fucking simple, but I want to offer to you that it's not as simple at all, because when you think the problem is you actually struggle to understand what your personal convictions and values, what's super important to you, because it's important to you, your core self, without all the other bullshit that's been piled on top of you. Like, when you think the problem's you, it's really not easy to say, here's my core values that I trust in and that I believe in all of the time. But if we stop blaming ourselves all the time and think that we always need to be fixed, I want to offer to you that this conversation about elevating your business, elevating your income, is actually an invitation to also stop trying to fix our damn selves all of the time. Because number one, I've already established we're not broken. And as long as we're constantly working on fixing ourselves, then that's not as much energy that we're putting into actually getting our shit out into the world. Because I got to go fix myself first. And listen, this isn't even in my notes, but as I'm hearing the words come out of my mouth, I'm not going to lie that I did a little bit of that right here. And I do touch on that in my notes a little bit. I made sure to put that in my notes a little bit further on. I think there's a reason why this is taking me a little bit longer to actually get like the new good shit out. But it doesn't need to be as long as what it has taken me. And I actually am going to come back around to that in just a moment. We stop blaming ourselves all the time. We stop thinking that we're the ones that need to be fixed. This doesn't mean that we don't own our shit, right? Like, I have spent time apologizing, and not always with the results that my ego would have preferred. You know, owning those times where I did blindly follow other people because, well, they sure seem to have their shit together. And of course, their measure of having their shit together was they just made more money than me. So, and it was in life coaching. So that must be good, right? When I did feel out of incongruence with myself, or I didn't even notice, but now hindsight, always 2020, looking back going, oh shit, I knew it then and I didn't see it then. I see it now, but I didn't see it then. Like, yeah, we're owning some of that, absolutely. But that's not like an inherent thing that needs fixed, because me at my core doesn't need to be fixed. That was me carrying somebody else's shit and trying to pass it off as my own. And so it's like coming to terms with that part. And it's funny, the more intimate conversations that I've had this past summer, I've had so many. I know I've told you guys, I've coached over 100 people this summer. The more I understand, like, it really looks very different out there than in here. And it's totally okay. Like, there's been so much work going on behind the scenes in 18 months. And not all of our work is meant to be on public display. And for 4 years of this podcast, 18 months of it has been produced by an Amy who is undergoing a huge elevation. And you've seen snippets of it. It's bursted out sometimes. at an opportune time, sometimes probably without necessarily the elegance that I wish that it would have. But it was 18 months ago that I felt that first, you know what, a big change is coming. I knew it in February of 2022. I knew it. I felt it. I knew it. I didn't 100% know what it looked like. They were kind of like, well, maybe I'll do this round with my coach of 4 years, but maybe the round after that I won't, right? But I knew there was a shift coming. And I didn't have a lot of these words, but all of the puzzle pieces were there in front of me. And actually, I would even say that I think I've put the puzzle together, but it's also possible that maybe these pieces make different pictures in the future, right? But after 18 months of a shit ton of emotional work, emotional release work, nervous system work, therapy, unpacking, processing, old work, having big giant holes of space, like it's one thing, you can shed a lot of shit, but the universe of horror is a vacuum. We don't like vacuums. So even if you're removing shit, something needs to be put in that place. So I mean, what is it? It's mid-August when I'm recording this. We're talking over 8 months of exposing myself to new teachers completely outside of the worlds that I've ever been in before, having my thoughts challenged, having to unpack more shit. The unpacking of the shit. So much unpacking, I gotta tell you. And this is where I'm gonna say, there was more than one mental health episode, and back to, you don't have to wait to go be fixed before you go put your shit out. And I'm coming back to that part of the conversation because I don't think it has to be 18 months. I think it took me a little bit longer because there was a mental health diagnosis involved, and that did kind of throw me for a loop, and I've had to rethink about how I think about things. I have to go on medication. There's been stuff there, and I think also that there's a public aspect to it that most people won't necessarily have when they're doing that work to shed old shit without it being I need to go fix me and I need to put my new true work out into the world. I'm not a special unicorn in any way, shape, or form, but I am actually going to give myself a little bit of an allowance that there might have been a couple more things on my plate than I had necessarily expected. But what I've learned is that maybe what's standing in my way is not me, and it's not my thinking, that my confidence was etched in stone at creation. And that finding ways to make business work for me, that's not just a kitschy tagline that we're throwing out there. For real, you finding how to make running a business work for you. I'm going to go ahead and bring that mental health diagnosis thing for literally my entire career, trying to fix something that was inherently a mental neurodivergence. This is kind of not that everything comes back to a diagnosable mental health condition by any way, shape, or form, but these things that we think we have to go fix, we don't have to go fix them. Just stop listening to the people that say how you're doing that is wrong and doesn't work. And you need to start calendaring all of your time, and you need to do it this way. And you need to write all of your launch emails 4 months in advance. And you need to do this. That don't work for me, right? So I think about when we say you figuring out for yourself how you are part of this elevation that I'm inviting you to. And this is not new, but maybe the way I'm talking about it here will give you a new focus. Truly finding how to make business work for you based on your innovative ideas, how you function, what's going on in your home life, your financial situation, all of those circumstances that make up who you are. And then you don't have to go fix anything. You You don't have to go fix anything, but finding a way to make your business work with that as opposed to around it. I got to tell you, one of my newer coaches is an ADHD coach, and it has been revolutionary for me to realize that even post diagnosis, I was still trying to come up with like, okay, so what's the tool that's going to help me function like a normal person? And she was like, you got to stop functioning. How about this? Stop trying to function like a normal person. Why don't you try functioning like you? What? This is what I mean. And I'm gonna go over what I mean specifically by elevating your income and a new process or methodology that I'm bringing to my coaching about knowing. Revolutionary. Stop trying to hack myself. Stop trying to hack me and actually work with me. It's so simple, and yet that seemed so foreign. Because you have to build your business in congruence with you, no one else, your values, what matters to you, how you function. And I want to be surrounded by people. And the people I want to be surrounded by, that I want to spend time with, working with people in a way that honors you, that we're not using psychological tricks that may work, sure, but I don't want to spend any time in any space where I am dragging people along or pointing out what needs fixed and or using any sort of marketing manipulation, which, guys, that's what I went to school for. That may work, but anything that takes your autonomy or agency away. And I don't want to be surrounded by people who want to learn business from me but are willing to do that with their clients either. And I've wondered if this means walking away from business coaching. I 100% have. Does this mean walking away from business coaching? Does this mean walking away from coaches? I mean, guys, I've seen the memes, right? I've seen the memes that say, run from coaches that coach coaches, right? It's a scheme. It's a scam. I've seen them. And also, I know that as a coach, me working with a coach that understands my coachiness has been so incredibly helpful, right? It's one of the things that you learn. Here's what I know for sure. I love business. I went to college for this 30 years ago, may I add. I didn't just get here. Consumer behavior, my absolute favorite class in college. I loved consumer behavior so much, which is why people buy what they buy. And I want to use it for good, not evil. So I say it's time we all elevate. And also, you don't necessarily have to. Like, you don't have to. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm taking my people with me, but I'm not dragging anyone. I don't have the energy to drag, convince anything. This is taking my 4 years of business school, which, by the way, no feminist theory there. My 10 years in corporate, which we learned, like, my 10 years in corporate, I experienced like so many extractive business practices. My years as a stay-home mom, where I was working for nonprofits, and I started a health coaching business, pushing our babies around in strollers 3 days a week. Becoming a coach, learning the new technology and ways of connection. And what I learned from life coaching, which I have to be honest, life coaching fucking changed my life. One of the hardest reconciliations of these past 18 months is seeing how, like, truly understanding I'm a better wife, a better mom, person, friend, sister, all of the things from something that also demonstrated manipulation and gaslighting. Like, that's some work right there. That's a therapy session or two. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about elevating, where we're going to leave the extractive and we're going to take the sustainable. I've been searching for words that encapsulated where this is going. And like, this is probably why you've heard me drop like 5 or 6 different names over the past 6 months that you're never going to hear again, just so you know. It hit me like a ton of bricks this past month. I want to elevate ourselves. I want to elevate who we are in our industries, our mission, our vision, our values, stripped away of all of those shoulds and have tos. I want to elevate our audiences, give so much value without the manipulation, without the expected reciprocity, keeping full autonomy and agency in their hands, truly leaving them better off, whether they pay to work with us or not, removing the transactional energy we're bringing to talking to our people. I want to elevate our business and our messaging, our focus, the activities that make you money. Like literally answering the question, every time I do blank, I make money. But not just make money. I'm talking about truly elevating your income. Like elevating it literally. Stop focusing just on revenue generation, but on revenue in terms of the income that you can provide. So you can elevate your life. We're talking about elevating your income that elevates your life. I've used those words literally all year, whether for some people that may be $1,000 extra to help pay for like medical treatment for somebody in their family, or maybe it's something else. Maybe we're talking about elevating your life, your business as a function to elevate your life so you can put your kid through college, be able to travel while you work. Maybe it is finally achieve world domination. I don't know if that's your jam. Your elevated life it's a hell of a lot more than just fancy hotels and rooftop bars and expensive handbags, though that can absolutely be part of your elevated life. But I want true elevate your income, elevated life, elevated income, because you didn't suck it out of your audience. You didn't extract it from your clients. You didn't leave them in the graveyard of clients who never get there because they just don't think high level enough. And this is it. This is the new mission, the refined focus. It's actually, I created a completely new process for all of my offers. And it became the name of my new offers. Elevate Your Income is for women business owners with audacious ideas. You, right now, still listening, doing transformative work in the world, the kind of work that makes other people say, who does she think she is? You, I know who you are. You know who you are. You are an innovator. And you probably got some shit that you've been told somewhere makes that mean this ain't gonna work, right? And you probably got some shit that needs to be shed. And you in an elevated income focused community to show you how to get those ideas into the marketplace, get your innovation and get your transformative ideas into your audience's hands so they can see how you help them create something new in their life. And business structure and support and marketing support and emotional support so that you're making money, yes, but it's so much better than just making more money. It's created elevated income. It's creating elevated income. And this is where I was really thinking about. We've talked about, you having a process, right? And my process for free to paid coach, it was the original Confident Coaches Mastermind process. Believe that you're a coach, feel your discomfort, have your own back, rely on yourself, i.e. future you work, have your own back. And then I was like, well, what's the process for this group? What's the process for this group? What's the process for this group? And damn if I wasn't making it more complicated than it needed to be. It's all of it is the elevated income model. So whether you were a brand new coach signing up for free to paid coach or going to work with me in one of the other offers that I'm getting ready to just tell you, I'm not going to give you all of the details in this podcast episode, but I'm going to tell you what they are. It's all the same process. Now, the specific questions might be different, and for sure the answers are going to be different, but the elevated income model, the framework, the model, the process, the methodology, all the same thing, is 3 steps. And it's number 1, knowing. I've already dropped that a couple times in here. What do you bring to the table? What's your background and your expertise? What do you know for sure? What do you know? What your values, your vision, your mission, your definition of success that's not necessarily somebody else's definition of success. what's already working in your business if you have an established business, what you know for sure about your audience, your clients, their desires, their worries, their agitators, their desired outcomes, and how you help them get there. And the second part of the elevated income model is experimenting. How you best meet people, offers that land, pricing for income, your messaging, your positioning, how you best make money, how you create revenue, your copy, your content buckets, your core messages, your hot topics, your evaluating of things. It's all part of this experimentation, right? Because you're going to need to try things to figure out what actually works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then eventually that becomes what you know for sure. And then as you grow in your business, we're experimenting with new and different things, right? I love this idea that like the experimenting part, once you start to find answers, it goes into the knowing part. And as you grow your business, this is how the model works, no matter where you are in your business. I love it so much. And the third part of elevated income model is the nurturing. It's where we started. Episode 1. Believing you can do this, having your own back, unbelieving the bullshit, navigating your feelings, incorporating play, incorporating rest, normalizing the differences among one another, nourishing your nervous system. When I think about these 3 steps, knowing, experimenting, and nurturing, and how simple they are. And this is how you're going to create elevated income, no matter where you are. If you're a brand new coach wanting to start out, if you are a woman with an established business and you want to rebrand, if you want to figure out how to make the same level of income you've already made, but with less hustle and less stress, if you want to, like you've made $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and you really want to fine tune everything and grow from there, it works no matter where you are. And this is where it applies across all of the offers. So right away, I'm going to mention it at the end. You've heard me mention it before. The Play More, Sell More Facebook group. It's absolutely free. This podcast and that group. If you are picking up what I'm throwing down, keep listening every week and make sure that you are in that free group. And yes, I am still selling free to paid coach. Now, it's been getting a facelift since freaking May. But I have to tell you, it's a damn good thing we didn't actually start the facelift back in May, because it wouldn't have been, that would have been the longest surgery of ever, right? But like taking what I've just shared, the knowing, experimenting, and the nurturing, all of that's actually in there. We're just going to like put it into some new places. I'm very excited about that. And then the new offers. The Elevate Your Income 8-week intensive. It's an 8-week marketing intensive where you're going to nail who the fuck you are, who you are in this industry, who your audience is, your messaging, your vision, your messaging, vision, values, your audience, what they really truly desire, what are their desired outcomes, how is not having that showing up in their life right now, what are the agitators that are in their life, figuring out your differentiators, like why you and only you. We've had that conversation, right? Why you and only you, the messaging that tells them this is what happens when you work with me in a way that's like how they talk about it, no more clarity bullshit. And translating that into an actual usable content and marketing plan, plus creating pricing so that you can actually create an income from this work instead of hemorrhaging every dollar, are running a business that's not elevating your life. We're stopping that. This is what Elevate Your Income is all about. We are no longer running businesses where money's coming in and it's not there, and there's not a path. There's not a this is where I start seeing money. And no more. Not happening at all. Because of course, along with this 8-week marketing intensive, a lot of what's going to come along is the coaching that you need, not to get out of your way, but to unpack the shit that's been piled onto. But I've been told for years that I have to do it this way. But I've been told for years that this is what we should be doing. It's not to get out of your own way. It's to tell the rest of the world to get the fuck It's like to fuck all the way off so that it gets out of your way. I'm so excited about this 8-week marketing intensive. And there's also going to be 2 ways to work with me one-on-one, the Elevate Your Income Fast Track days. This is where there's like a VIP day where we just work together, and as well as longer term coaching where we're not just coming up with the plans, but we are also implementing them together because we're working on an elevated income goal. And these are the 4 core things that I keep coming back to. What elevate your income? Why this is the work we are doing here with me. Why this is my work to put out into the world. Because an elevated income goal, income created through putting your ideas and innovations into the marketplace that elevates your life and nourishes your audiences and your community. And in a way that's individually focused. There's no framework where everyone fits in. We're going to adapt to your unique personality, whether there's neurodivergence, your social structures, whatever your size family. We are adapting this to you through simplified marketing strategy. Like I can bring those foundation marketing principles from my business education and my corporate marketing career, but in a way where we're adapting to what's the latest and greatest thing that's going on right here. And in a simplified way where we're going to throw out all of I love integrated marketing communications. I can really geek out on it, but how can we do it for use in a way that's simplified so that you can actually execute it? But we can't do that unless we also bring in the feminist coaching part, where we realize you are not the problem. Systemic and intersectional agitators and bias is the problem, and focusing on solutions so that we either overthrow those systems or we work around them. Now, as of this recording, the website still ain't updated with all of this information. It's in process. So hopefully by broadcast date or really not long after. And for sure the new material will be up and running because my person is moving towards the end of September and he has to take a full month off. So definitely by mid-September, everything will be up and running as it should be informational wise. In the meantime, I'm dropping the goodies out onto the social media and via email and this podcast all over the place. But this is the direction. We started heading there, honestly, back in February of 2022. But this is your official invite right now to come with me and elevate your income. Stop fixing yourself and create a business where you really show the world and show yourself that the innovation is already there and the transformative work is already there. And you know that. And actually get it out into the marketplace no matter where you are right now. And the first place to start is the free Facebook group. You don't have to drop a dime if you're not ready. Start with Play More, Sell More. Start there. So much more to come. We're actually doing a 90 minutes day focus all the month of September with a brand new, the free to paid coach, 90 days to paid. I had hoped was going to drop in September, but it's actually going to be October 1st with the time that it's going to take to get everything moved over. Elevate Your Income, the inaugural and 8-week intensive. We're actually going to start that in just 2 weeks from the time this airs. For an absolutely unbelievable offer. I'm so excited to take people through this brand new experience of what it truly means to elevate your income. But right now, just start with Play More, Sell More. I'll see you inside there. I'll see you here on this podcast, week in, week out. And I really, truly, when I say at the end of every week, I'm so excited to see what you create in the world. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I truly cannot wait to experience what you are putting into the world, your innovation, your new ideas, your transformation, the transformative work you are sharing. The world needs it. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to experience it with you. And I'll talk to you next week. Coach, it's time to sign your first free client, your first paid client, your next client. and to learn how to do it consistently and having a hell of a lot of fun along the way. This is exactly what you're going to do in Free to Paid Coach. It's the only program giving you step-by-step what to do to become a paid coach and step-by-step how to handle the roller coaster emotions that come with doing what you need to do to become a paid coach. If you know you can't not do this life coaching thing, but believing that you can do it, handling rejection, and remembering how to do all of those things shuts you down, the Free to Paid Coach community is waiting for you. Find everything that you're looking for inside. It's only $1,000, payments are available, and then you are in forever. Visit amylatta.com/FTPC to join us right now. See you inside. Let's get paid, coach. Thanks so much for listening to the Confident Coaches podcast. I invite you to learn more. Come visit me at amylatta.com. And until next week, let's go do epic stuff.